So thanks for being on the hot seat.
Of course.
Super excited to have you. I'm going to say that you are one of Riverside's real estate influencers. Would you agree to that?
Scary, but yes.
Yes.
Like, I'm an influencer.
I'm a little scared. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So I want to just start off with the whole influencer thing. So people tell me all the time, do more stories, project more in your life. And I'm like, well, look, but because when I'm with my kids, I don't want to stop what I'm doing to take pictures of it. Like, I don't want to stop my life to show my life because plus they're teenagers and they don't want me taking pictures of them and posting on the internet.
Fair.
So with you, when you're out and about with the people that you love, is it harder for you to take pictures and influence those around you, or how do you balance it?
I have learned, because it's been trial and error with social media.
Always.
I've really learned how to pick and choose what I want to show people because, truthfully, I live a life that is so different from what I'm posting. So I guess I'm a little more introverted, actually. So when I see something that I want to post that I think would be interactive with my followers or make people laugh or make people's day, that's the stuff I'm actually posting. So it takes 5 seconds out of my day to do it.
So you've gotten good at it.
I've gotten, yeah, definitely.
Now, in terms of like restaurants or places that you love, are you strategic about it, or are you like, oh my God, this was bomb, I'm going to take a picture of this? Or what do you do with those?
Well, so it started with that, like, oh, I want to East Coast Bagel, like, I want to film them. They're great. I love them. And then I started getting partnerships with people, bigger influencers in the community, like, hey, do you want to go here and film this place? And I'm like, heck yeah, I love to eat. I'm a foodie. Duh. Right. So that's kind of how that started. Kind of taking a step back a little bit from that because, work gets in the way. Right. But it's more of, it's more of an organic thing, I would say now versus getting those opportunities.
So, and you mentioned like, hey, it started this way. It started by me just going and taking pictures of place. Like, what's been the evolution? What's been the stair steps of starting social media to feeling like you're owning it and you're inspiring others and you're influencing others? Where did you start and how did you evolve?
So I think a lot of people, and it's not that this is a bad mistake, right? Because I don't think this is a mistake. It's a choice. People say like, I want a business page. I never did that. I stayed on my... I've had like 4 or 5 different usernames, but then I made it Estates by Ari. And then I learned how to mold it into me and showing who I am. And then the beginning of the year, my boyfriend and I sat down and we did the vision boards. And I said, I want 10,000 followers. And by doing that, I'm sure you've seen, I post every single day.
Oh, yeah, you do.
And so I managed to go from,
We all follow you here. We all are up in your business.
What did I start this year? I think I started with 6,000 followers.
I don't remember.
And I'm at 32,000. And it's just by being consistent. So
and
I
how
hope
often
I answered
are you
the
posting?
question.
No, you are. Yeah. You're all, wait, what was the question?
A reel once a day.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter the time, but I try in the morning. Try before at least 9 a.m. And then just stories throughout the day to keep people engaged. But I noticed the reels, those get a little more engagement than the stories because, stories get lost. They get hidden. But one thing I always hear from people is, I always see you on my page.
Yeah, you're always on my page. You're like the first thing I wake up to every single morning. I'm like, oh, there's Ari. This is what we did today.
Yes, and... What I'm noticing, I used to do like the videos, trying to talk about it, but I'm noticing the videos I'm doing with the wording on there, that for whatever reason, it gets more traction.
Traction?
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think it's because it's playing more?
Yes. And I think that the words there's trigger words in there because, we had talked about certain trigger words.
Yep.
I noticed the videos with money and about money, they go crazy and people you have to learn how to get thick skin if you want to be an influencer because people will come for your life on there. They will.
So with that, so many people have a failure to launch with social media because let's face it, it's first of all, camera in my face. What the heck am I going to say?
Right.
And then, oh my God, I don't like my hair. Do I really look like that? I hate the way I sound.
Yeah.
And then actually posting it and then have others judge you.
Yeah.
So how were you okay with it? What made you just be like, you know what, today this is what I'm going to do?
newsflash, you guys do look and sound like that. I hate to break it to you.
Isn't that the worst?
It's the worst, but it's true. Like, I had to learn to get over that. I'm like, listen, I know I'm thick. I know that my voice sounds cringy, and I'm going to own it.
See, your voice to me is just your voice to me. Who you are is just who you are.
I used to have this trainer, this personal trainer. He's like, dude, I heard somebody sounded just like you today, because I have that Valley Girl voice, and that's what... But believe it or not, your insecurities are what's going to make you go viral. Like, one time I had a friend, I wasn't following her boyfriend, and he just commented making fun of my voice, and I sent it to her. I'm like, girl, isn't this your boyfriend, like, clowning me on the internet? But he was making fun of my voice. So that's the stuff that...
I think your voice sounds normal, for the record.
But just own who you are. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I could tell you, so like when Robin will edit some of my videos, I'm like, I sound like Minnie Mouse. I cannot. Why? Isn't that hurting your ears? So I have to, like, I can't even listen to myself anymore, because I'm like, why am I so shrill? I feel like I have a deep, maybe I should just modulate it down. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think your voice sounds like that.
See, it just sounds like me to you. That's just because,
true.
See? All right. So you grew a thick skin, you evolved it, you just started somewhere. You said, screw it, this is what I'm going to do. This is my goal, and so I'm going to hit it.
Right.
So a lot of people look at you, and you're known for how well you do in social media. But I know you, I've peeled back the onion of you, and yeah, you're pretty cool at social media, but there's so much more depth to you. And the fact, the bones of who you are, because one day you're like, this is what I'm going to do, and you just did it. That's actually who you are. And that's what makes you special, is when you decide to attack something, you are a bull in a china shop, like, come hell or high water.
Yeah.
If it makes sense, and if it's your goal, you're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Which is super cool and impressive.
Yeah.
So I know your family is in real estate and title, so they all have that competitive spirit.
Yeah.
But where did that, I'm just going to attack it, come from? Is that mom? Is that dad? Is it just a mixture of being a sister to brothers? What was that?
Gosh, my brothers. I think it was more of, I had two parents that, first of all, my dad drove trucks till I was about 10 years old, I think. And then my mom, she took care of 3 bad kids. We're all bad. And I just saw her, and now I look at her like, wow, you did that. And
it's not bad. It's strong personalities.
Strong personalities, but I watched them do it and not let anything, I guess, hold them back. And I guess just growing up, I watched that, and it's admirable. It's like, I don't know how my mom did it, and
she probably doesn't either some days.
No, we were talking about it the other day. She's like, imagine how I felt when I was running late and I had a kid that didn't want to wake up for school.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
It's like, I couldn't. I'd freak out. No.
And you watched your dad too. I mean, your dad switched industries entirely and grew to be a whole mongrel within title world. And so now with them being, I'm a career mother. My husband is like big in his industry. So my children get the work mom, you're always striving, like high expectations. How is that on you? Did that help shape you in terms of, if I want something, I'm just going to attack it?
Well, it didn't always happen.
Actually, it was crippling. Thank you.
No. It was, I had extensive therapy. I'm just kidding. But no, I wasn't always this way. And I don't really, what really switched me was working for Escrow. Love my Escrow people, but working for Escrow, when I would see the realtors' checks and see everything, and I knew a lot, I know the whole process.
Right.
It made me realize, like, wow, I love that they have a work-life balance and they're making good money. Like, I want to be like that. And so I think that's what switched me. And I told myself, I remember sitting in my little desk and I was like, I'm going to be Estates by Ari. That's going to be my name. And my dad's like, you've never even sold an estate or a house. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to do it.
And then how long until you started just doing that?
Okay, so I got my license in August of 2020.
Okay.
Took me 2 tries. And I got it, and this was during COVID, so that sucked. But I gave my escrow company until the end of the year. I said, hey, I'm going to be doing this part-time. office I was working for, I was just kind of like sitting there cold calling the whole time. So I was working part-time, but then I fully became a realtor January 2021.
Okay.
January 1st was my full time. And yeah, I just started my career off cold calling.
So you've been a realtor for 3 years plus a few months.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years. So you started off cold calling. Did you close any business cold calling?
Yeah. My first deal ever was a listing from a cold call.
Right. On how many, because I've heard you on the phone. You're great on the phone. How many calls did you have to make to get there?
Oh gosh. I called like so they called it like a pool, like, I forgot what they called it, but it was like a pool of like dead leads that they, weren't, turning or anything. No, actually I lied to you. I got the list from Title of just homeowners within the area.
So you just cold called.
Literally. And I remember it was this little old lady. I still talk to her this day. She's always saying, I love you. I was like, oh, do you want to sell your house? She's like, actually, yeah. And I was like, oh crap, what do I do now? So I told my mentor, I'm like, hey, like, what do we do? So we scheduled the appointment. They ended up moving to Texas, and that was just the start of everything. And from there, that's when I started calling more, and it grew. And at the time, I was at an office with the Zillow account. So that, I have a lot of love for that because it helped me.
That's how you start your business.
Yeah. And I have clients that have given me all their family members.
Yeah, they're called Zillow babies is what I call them. So I'm not the biggest fan of Zillow because of the conversion ratio, but when you're starting out,
you've seen mine.
Yeah, you start out in Zillow, and your Zillow clients, you'll get referrals if you do well by them. You'll get referrals from them, and so Zillow is a great way to start out because it lets you get your feet underneath you.
Right.
So how many in 2021, 2022, if you remember the numbers, how many deals were you closing a month, or not a month, throughout the whole entire year?
So 21, I did 20. 22, I did 17. 23, I did 21. And then 24, I'm on track to do 40.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of super impressive. Okay, so what's changed? Why are we doubling our business in 2024? I know a couple things have changed, but what's going on with that?
Well, I started coaching with the core.
Yes.
And I really learned that consistency is what...
It's everything.
You don't have to be good at everything. As long as you're good at one or two things and you're consistent with it. I learned I don't like cold calling anymore. I don't like cold calling. I am so scared of it. I don't know what it is. But what I learned my niche is open houses. And I learned my other niche is loving up to my past clients and my referral partners. Like my past clients, I had a conversation with one yesterday for 35 minutes.
I love that. Okay, so your funnels of business now are social media, our past clients, our other VIPs and referral partners.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. And how much percentage is coming from, of course, open houses?
Yeah. What's
coming from what would you say? I'm actually impressed that you know the numbers up to now. So now I'm just grilling you on numbers. I'm like, okay, let's see where it's coming from, Amari.
I would say, I'm 100% referral based, 100. And from my VIPs, I have my funnels of VIPs are, one is my mom's my biggest VIP because now her and I are a little bit of a team. And we're doing really well. And then my out-of-state agents, social media from, actually, believe it or not, it's just not people reaching out from social media. It's like, hey, my mom wants to sell, or my dad, or whatever. And just my friends and family. So I would say actually 80-20 because I am also on Relo. My Relo account. Yeah.
All right. So I think that's super impressive that you've managed to 40 transactions in this market. That's no joke. And you really do you take every single client that you have and you go over and beyond. You're always on the phone with them. You're always working with them.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is you're going out and getting new business, but then you're taking the business that you have and you're spending a lot of hours with them. So how many hours are you working in a week?
Don't tell my coach because I'm probably not supposed to be doing this, but I'd say close to not 80, but 40 at least.
David Fletes, is this your coach?
Yeah.
I got
he's not going to be upset because he's probably working the same. But 40 a week, 80 2 weeks, obviously. But I'm working every single day.
Yep.
Actually, after this, we're going to have a night to ourselves. Okay. We're going to go to the beach because I don't think I've taken a day off. And this is where the side of the hustle that people don't see is I haven't taken a day off in probably a month.
So you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
And it's fine to be a goal-oriented person. It's fine to be a grinder and have that high work ethic. But when you start falling, like when you hit that wall, you have to give yourself grace to kind of take it off.
Yeah.
Now, how are you doing with that? To be like, okay, I've been working for an entire month. Like, I'm done. I need a moment. How are you giving yourself grace? Are you stopping working? What are you doing?
Looking at my boyfriend.
I know.
No.
I'm gonna ask the boyfriend here in just a second.
No. I mean, yes and no. I think I've learned to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I am good for today. Like yesterday, I will tell you guys, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like the last couple of days, I've been really down on myself because let's be honest, the market's a little
hard,
but it's a little weird right now with the election coming up.
Yep.
Like historically, that's just how it goes, right? So I've been kind of beating myself up because I'm like, I'm doing the work, right? But you know what I did? And my mom told me this. She said, when times are a little slow like this, sit down and get your process in order. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I sat and I talked to all my sellers. I followed up with all my sellers, and I had 4 market analysis requests.
Nice.
So I actually just sat down and, I put on my little Love is Blind. I know Rick Ruby would kill me putting on TV in the background, but I had to. So it's working, but it's not working to the mode I usually do.
Yeah, but remember, when you're working on your business right now, or when you're prospecting or doing anything right now, it's not for right now business.
Yeah.
It's for future business.
Yes.
So you can nurture all of the past, like referrals and stuff like that. So don't beat yourself up on it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean work harder. It just means work a little bit smarter and then work on your process. Working on your process is working smarter.
And also just being appreciative of what you have, because I still have 3 pending right now. So I was talking to my dad. He's like, I don't feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry
there's
for you
people
either.
that don't have that.
Right.
And he's like, do you have money in your bank?
Yes.
And I've you know me, I'm very good at saving.
You're excellent.
And he's like, you have money in your bank? And my mom's like, I remember in 2008 when nothing was selling and I had to put kids through private school and I didn't have that. And so you're lucky that you learned that
perspective.
Early on.
Yeah. Now, you recently just bought a house.
Yes.
You sold a house, bought a house. Yes. Very excited for you. So now that you, as a consumer, not agent, you as a consumer, do you have, going through the whole process again, do you have more empathy for clients and how stressful this situation is and how the ups and downs are and all of that? And then how are you feeling moving into the house? Like, are you like, oh my gosh, I never want to paint a wall again type of situation?
Well, Drew painted everything. I didn't do any of that, thankfully. But I will say selling was probably one of the most emotional process because, I do have more empathy for my clients because when I was so offended when somebody did not like my home, I'm like, you don't like my home? Like I've done a lot of work to it, And now I'm like, wow, I can really sit down with my clients and say, I get it. I get how you're feeling, but here's the why behind why it's not happening right now. There is a plan for people. I don't know, universe does crazy things.
Yep.
I really do feel like my home did not sell when it did because something better was because I was in escrow on one before.
Yep.
And I found out some things about that neighborhood later on down the line that I'm like, thank goodness it didn't happen.
Awesome.
So if you learn, I think just trying to teach my clients might not happen right now for a reason.
So are you loving the new house?
Yes.
Yeah.
The dogs love the yard. They've been tearing up the patio set.
Fantastic.
Yeah. They're crazy.
Now, let's get into Drew. Mm-hmm. How is it going with how much you're working, how much you're doing in your obsessions and your goals and all of that, plus his career? How are you guys balancing it together?
I was just talking to my mom about this, because the tough part is we are both workaholics. Uh-huh. We are both constantly talking about how we can get better, how we can,
which is a good and bad thing.
Which is a good and bad thing. So sometimes we really have to sit down and be like, hey, we need to go. Like today, I was just looking at hotels. I'm like, hey, let's book this. And we just did it.
I love it.
Because if we don't do that, we will just sit and just keep going and going and going and going. Because he's never going to say, hey, we should take a break. He's going to keep supporting my goals and vice versa,
Yeah, for sure. No, I love it. So, Ari, I know quite a bit of agents and I see different walks of life in terms of businesses. And I know some people say, well, you're third generation, you got a leg up. Mm-hmm. I can honestly say for you, I haven't seen someone outwork you yet. Well, maybe one person.
Yeah.
Not necessarily outwork you, but run at the same pace as you.
Yeah. And I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, everything that you've been given, you have earned over and over and over again. You're goal oriented. You're like, okay, I'm going to attack. And sometimes your goals make no sense, but you figured that out along the way.
Yeah.
But that's part of the fun in the process is you're okay failing and going through it. So I've always been impressed with you. I always think that you're one of, in terms of my daughter, if I wanted her to look at another woman in mirror, you're one of those women where I'm you're just perfectly positioned. You go after what you want, and it's a beautiful thing for me to watch.
My dad always told me, he said, when I was a little girl, he said, you can be the nurse, no offense to nurses, but you could be the doctor.
Yeah.
And that's something that stuck with me because I feel like, wow, he's right. I could be that, and I think that's something actually. So as you know, I'm a Rotarian, Rotary Club.
I know. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's for the youth, right? It's our group is geared towards the youth. And I told them my end goal is to be a motivational speaker for young women because I want to, I started off rough. I started off a little rough in high school. I was, not the best. And now I'm where I'm at, and I want to show young women that you can do it. You can do whatever you put your mind to.
Yep. So for those women out there that know that they could be the doctor, that they want to be the doctor, and they're just starting out in real estate or whatnot, what advice would you give them?
I would give them the advice of enjoy the process.
Yes, I love the process.
And be happy with where you're at. I've had to learn that because celebrating small wins
is a hard thing to do.
Freaking hard because you're like, okay, I'm number 2 in my office for the month of September. People might not know my office. Those are a bunch of killers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I felt like, wow, I'm on top of the world.
Did you go out to dinner on it?
We're going to go tonight.
Okay.
Celebrate it. Yeah.
Fair.
Of course. But that's a huge accomplishment. But so enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, because what you prayed for, one day you're going to be living that prayer, and you might not even take a second to appreciate it.
Which is important. Unfortunate that you do that, and important to do it because you're always looking at the next goal, because you're always beating yourself up on whatever process or whatever things that you're not achieving.
Yeah.
So that is probably the biggest demon that I think I deal with, and I know you deal with as well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that you're going to actually go celebrate tonight.
Me too.
All right, so let's get into the hot seat questions. How do you deal with people copying what you do, especially in social media? Like, you are now one of the people that get the copycats over and over. How do you deal with it? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
Well, here's the thing. We're all copying each other.
That is so true.
There's some stuff I'm copying too, I don't care. Copy me, please do, because my audience isn't your audience, isn't Robin's audience. We all have different
that's so
audience.
Beautifully said.
Right?
Yes.
It's true, because I have people that I personally know that follow other agents and they've used me on their transactions and vice versa.
I love it. Yeah. No, I agree with you wholly. It's copy. Do whatever you want. Copy the crap out of me, because our audiences are different, and how I do business is different. It's like
they might connect with you better than me.
For sure.
They might not like my voice and not want to work with me.
Your voice is fine. Okay, so what are some of the challenges of growing your brand but also maintaining authenticity?
I think just filtering out. Okay, I've learned to throw my funniness into things because I'm funny. I'm funny, right? I'm funny, guys.
Although, here's the thing. I always tell my husband I'm funny. And then he always tells me, you wouldn't have to tell people or
you're
even
funny.
Me if you're funny, if you were actually funny. But I'm like, I'm funny.
No, I'm actually funny. I'm actually funny. I've learned to throw that in there because if not, then that wouldn't be me, right? If I'm not throwing some type of digs at my brother on my story. So I sprinkle some stuff in there.
Okay. So you're keeping it authentic. As long as you keep it authentic, you're fine with growing your brand and pushing the needle. I love that.
Right.
Now, with all this growth, this is my last question for you. With all this growth brings in more money to the family.
Yeah.
So with having money coming in, I'm big on, do you remember what the rule of money is? Save 20% and
I was
never
going to
touch
say
it.
that.
Close.
I was going to say that.
Saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with more money coming in, because you're serving more and more families, Are you saving it, or do you see something and you're like, I'm going to spend it? What are you doing?
No, I used to be a designer bag girl. Nope, I won't spend my money on that type of stuff. Not that it's dumb, so people like it.
Right.
But I have definitely learned to not splurge on stuff like that because, like my mom said, you don't want to. I think I had the privilege of watching a family go through that market.
Right.
So I kind of learned like, okay.
And that is really a privilege
It
to
is
watch
a privilege.
that.
No, it is, because now when it's not there, you
Right.
better have at least, a year's worth of savings.
Right.
Seriously.
Right. No, that's a big deal. All right. I love it. Thank you for coming on. You're a badass queen. You're amazing. You're beautiful. And I love your voice.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ari.